Happy Friday, Landers. I'm coming in here a little bit earlier on Friday. I'm usually here at 1 because I am going to Comic-Con tomorrow, and we're staying at a super nice hotel, courtesy of Nicola's sister, who got him that for his birthday, and I benefited from the gift. So I want to go get my nails done and just kind of get ready, because we're probably going to stay in Miami and spend a day at the beach on Friday. So I'm coming in here earlier. So I'm hoping some of you can catch me live, because this is such a big topic that so many of my clients struggle with at some point or another. And so many people in here, or women that I talk to, are so confused about what they should charge. And I really, really want to give you the perspective of how to charge, what you should charge, why I believe in this, and obviously how to charge in a way that you're actually going to make sales. So let me just do this really quick. I usually put my sticky note over here with my pointers, and we're good to go. Okay, which I should probably do that before the live stream, right? But whatever. So happy Friday. How's everyone doing? Tell me if you already have priced your programs. Actually, tell me where you're at. Have you already priced your programs? Do you not know what to price your programs? Have you priced your programs but you don't know if it's the right thing? Just give me a little insight as to where specifically you are with this, so I know exactly what we're going into. Hi Lizzie, hi Marie, hi Nia, hi Veroni, is that how you say it? Welcome, ladies. So here's the first thing I have to say, and I'm going to tell you how this live stream came to be. Not only is this something that I go through all the time with my clients, but it's also something that happened to me the other day. And it actually has happened to me a while, because my prices are below industry average. It's very, very, very rare that you will find a coach who's been coaching for 5 years who charges less than $1,000 a month for one-on-one coaching. Right? So for a really long time, people have told me, your prices are too low, your prices are too low, your prices are too low. And I've actually even had people be like, wow, your prices are too low. I had a client who had someone in her community who really loved my content. And when she found out what my prices are, she's like, well, coaching is more expensive. I'm not, something's weird there, right? Because she's less expensive. So it's really interesting, because some people will be like, you're too low, that's weird. And some people will be like, you're too high, that's weird. So I really want to say this just to give you a little perspective of there's no such thing as high or low. It's really all about what the other person is experiencing. So for that person, $850 a month was that's not what most people charge, and that's really weird, so I'm not going to pay you for it because I think that's sketchy. And then I've had so many people be like, $850 a month, I would never spend that on coaching. And that's okay. That's normal. There will always be people who can afford your stuff, and there will always be people who cannot afford your stuff. That's just the way business works. It's just the fact that you're trying so hard to create a price that will please everyone is going to keep you stuck for such a long time, because you will never be able to please everyone. It's just physically impossible to do so. So that's why I'm so into pricing in a way that's soulfully aligned to you, so it feels really good and you make more sales, right? Hi Christy, hi Catherine. Lizzie says, I priced some of my services but still figuring out my coaching prices. Perfect. You're the best live stream that you could be on today. Hi Sheridan. Oh my God, I actually live in a place called Sheridan. That's really awesome. Okay, I don't want to get squirrel brain right now. The other thing that happened that made me really want to come and talk about this, it's I've been doing this for a while, so I don't really get either offended or triggered or anything when people give me their thoughts or their advice or anything. But I had a few people who are really into high ticket coaching be like, you have to charge higher ticket stuff. And to me, there was no emotional response to that. I'm like, awesome, yeah, totally. I'm raising my prices in August. Thanks for your input. But I know for some people who are either just starting out or who are really uncomfortable with their pricing, that could be so detrimental to them when you have someone tell you like, you should price low, you should price high, you should have 3 offers, you should have 10 different price points, you should do high ticket, you should do low ticket, you should do passive income, you should do one-on-one coaching. Like when you have so many like opinions as to like what you should be doing, you're gonna get confused in your pricing, and you're gonna price from an outside place, right? Like you're gonna price because someone who sells high ticket coaching told you that you should be selling high ticket coaching, and that's what you're doing. Which, look, I'm not against high ticket coaching. Like, I mean, even below industry average prices, I think $4,500 for 6 months of working with me, it's still a big investment for most people, right? It's a big, scary investment, but it's one of the best investments you can make. I'm raising my prices in August. So it's not that I'm against it. I'm against pricing from a place of you should. That's when you make less sales. That's when you price a program based on like what you should be doing because you read something or you watched something or someone told you to do something. That's when you make less sales. Right? So the first thing I want you to ask yourself, okay, is shut down the noise. Forget about what people are telling you to do, right? Like literally drop it. Like I know this is easier said than done because we've been so trained to like go for like the outside perspective or that outside like opinion or like, what should I do? Let me read a blog. Let me Google this. Oh my gosh, she said to this, I should do it. But just shut that off for a second and ask yourself, like, what do you actually want to charge? It's such a basic question, and most people will say, I don't know. Here's the rule to that question. You're not allowed to say, I don't know. Because the moment that we say, I don't know, it's the moment that we shut off ourselves from being inquisitive from within, right? Like the moment that I say, I don't know, like I'm literally shutting myself up to any possibility of me knowing the answer. So you're not allowed to say, I don't know. Like you could say something like, that's an interesting question. I'm a little confused. I'm going to explore it and come up with the answer later. But you have to come up with a number from within yourself first. That may not be the number that we're going to pick because there's going to be different factors that are going to go into your pricing, but it's at least a baseline to see where you're energetically aligned to, right? Like what feels good and exciting to you? Like what's the number that your intuition is calling you to do? That's the first thing before we go into like business model and hitting your income goals and you know what type of like coaching you want to grow or whatever. Like that goes all after like what you feel is the right number for you. I'm gonna go back to the comments, guys. I promise. I just want to finish this little bit up and then go to the comments. But I actually had a client. She had been working in her business for a really, really, really long time. She booked like 1 or 2 sessions, but I mean, for someone who's been in business for like 2 years, that's nothing. And when we started working together, we did all of my pricing exercises. We dove deep into it, and like her pricing, like alignment at that point was really low, like really, really, really low. And I'm like, let's go for that, right? Like that's what's feeling good to you. Let's go for that. And she was also not the type of person who's like, I need to get my business off the ground within the next 6 months, or I need to get to my next income level by the end of the year. Like she really had no pressure around it. So these are all other factors that I want you to think about, right? Like if you want to get your business to 6 figures in a 12-month period, you may not want to start charging $80 an hour for a single session, right? Like that's not going to be sustainable in alignment with your income goals. But for her, we had a little bit of space to play around. So we started with the lower price point. And it's crazy. Like as soon as she aligned herself to that number, she started booking a crazy amount of paid sessions. Like she had been doing free stuff forever. And as soon as she aligned herself to it, she started booking so many sessions. And here's what happened. After she booked so many sessions, she's like, oh my God, this is so low, right? Because the energy that she was putting out was not in balance with what she was getting in return. So she was kind of getting burnt out. And naturally, she like raised herself to her next income. And she did that like 10 times where it's like, okay, good. I'm so in alignment with a higher price point right now because this is not working for me. And then that happened again. Like, I'm so in alignment with a higher price point right now because I'm getting burnt out. And it's amazing how every time she raised her prices, she got more and more and more and more clients because she was doing it from a place of like what felt really good to her at the moment. Now, that's not always going to be the case. That's not always going to be sustainable, and I don't suggest everyone doing this, but it's just to give you an idea of how important price alignment is. So Lizzie says, my coaching is new. I'm new in the scene with it, so don't feel comfortable charging higher prices. Beautiful. I'm going to talk about that in a second because I think that's super important too. Marie says, I'm in a health coaching and simply integrated into my massage therapy service, but I'm wanting to move into love coaching. Oh, I love that. I love that. I just started working with a relationship coach, and I'm like obsessed with that type of work, like obsessed with relationship and love coaching. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Lizzie first because that's actually where I was going. So here's what bothered me about that comment about like you should charge high ticket prices. It's not anything against me, right? Like, I really do not care what people think about my prices. It's that I think about you guys. I think about my community. I think about my clients. I think about like all online entrepreneurs who are working really hard to start a business, who get told advice like this on a day-to-day basis, right? And they're like, oh my God, you should charge high ticket prices and charge 10K for your one-on-one 3-month coaching program, right? So then you go and you price your program that, and then all these fears, doubts, and insecurities start coming up. Like, I'm too new, I don't have experience, I don't have testimonials, what if I don't get my clients' results? Like, I've heard them all. Like, I know what you're thinking. Let's put it that way, right? Like, what if no one buys this? Can anyone afford this, right? Like, is this too high? Like, all of those things start coming up. And here's what happens. Like, amazing, you have a high ticket price for your program, but are you selling it? Right? Like, wouldn't it be easier for you to think about what feels really good to you, sell that, and then move up? That is also another way. And everything I'm saying today, I want you to take it from like, whatever feels good to you, you're going to take, and whatever doesn't feel good to you, don't take, because this is not the only approach. Not all of my clients do incremental price increases. Some of my clients work really well under pressure, and they're like, I just want to step so out of my comfort zone that I feel so uncomfortable until I make it happen. And that works really well for their strengths and their personalities. But that's not always the case, just like it's not always the case where starting small is going to work for you. So think about what is in alignment to you. Like, that's like the main message that I want to say. However, push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone. So Lizzie, like, you're scared of like charging higher prices. Like, what does that really mean? Like, tell me more details about that. Like, are you scared of charging over $1,000? Are you scared of charging over $5,000? Are you scared of charging more than $100 a session, right? Like, because there's so many options there. So I would say, what's the price that works for you? And then what's your first income goal? That's always my second question when it comes to pricing. What is your next income goal? Like, obviously we all have like that big vision, right? Like, I want to make $1 million in 10 years. Big vision, awesome. But like right now in this moment, what's the next income goal do you want to reach? Do you want to make $500 a month? Do you want to make $1,000 a month? Is your next income goal $5,000 a month? Because that's like another thing that we need to integrate with like the inner intuitive part of pricing, where it's like, if you want to make $5,000 a month, right, and you charge $300 for a 3-month coaching package, those two don't align, right? Like, it's not going to work out. Like, I'll actually do some quick math for you. So let's say you want to do $5,000 a month and you want to charge $300 for a 3-month package. That means that you would have to sell $17 coaching spots, right? Which is a lot if you're just starting out, right? Like, it's a lot. You would have to literally sell 17 full price, $300 one-on-one coaching packages. But that's not all, right? Like, that's the whole program. Okay, fine. Let's say you can work really hard and get those 17 clients. Awesome. That means that if you want to make $5,000 again next month, you have to get another 17 clients who pay full price. So that's why it's so important to like work with both. Work with your income goal and work with what feels really good to you. And when you mix these two things together, you're going to realize like, okay, so maybe I can charge $1,200 for my 3-month package. I definitely need a calculator, guys. So $5,000 divided by $1,200. So that's 5 clients a month. That sounds a little bit more doable, right? Like, and that's a 3-month package, so they could even have payment plans. That allows you to build a little bit more sustainability. Okay, so think about what feels good to you and think about your income goals and figure out a way in which you can integrate them both so that this supports this and this supports this. Now, here's where the magic happens. You, by doing this exercise, can come to realize, I don't want to charge $3,000. I don't want to charge $1,200, but I still want to make $5,000 a month in a sustainable way, right? Here's why this is so good to do, because you're not just going out there and being like, oh, she told me to charge $5,000. That's what I'm going to do. You're actually putting your CEO hat on and you're like thinking about what's good for your business and what's not, which is what's going to help you create long-term success. So by seeing like what feels good to you and what you want to make, you kind of have an idea of like what you should be charging, right? Like, you get an idea of like, if I want to make this, I should be charging this for that. However, this doesn't feel good to me. So now you get to explore like, what can I do to supplement that? What can I create? What can I adjust, right? Like, could I maybe have one-on-one coaching and a group program? Could I maybe have one-on-one coaching and some passive income? Could I maybe do 1-month programs instead of 3 months? Could I maybe expand to 6 months to build more sustainability? Like, you get to kind of decide like, where does my business need to adjust? Where do I need to change my pricing? Where do I need to go up? Where do I need to go down? What do I need to create? And that's when you start pricing stuff from a really empowered place. You start pricing things based on what you want to achieve, based on what feels good to you, and you get to see that there's not just one way to hit your income goal, and you get to decide how you're going to hit that, right? So Lizzie, I hope that kind of answered your question. If it didn't, just tell me a little bit more and I'm more than happy to go into it. And Marie, so like, tell me about your pricing. Like, how are you feeling around it? Like, do you want to charge more? Do you want to charge less? Do you not know how to price? Like, where are you standing with that? Hi, Talina, welcome. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Marika. Hi, Bridget. So Lizzie says, my coaching tends to be a little different from others, so I have to work hard for people to realize that they need this type of coaching. Love that. Okay. I charge high ticket prices for my design work, but feel like coaching is new, so I need to rebuild my reputation with it, but worry that people expect my coaching to be in line with my design. Let me think about this for a second. So what type of coaching do you do? Because I cannot, like, I may go a little bit into this, and I think a lot of that is a belief, right? Like, of like, oh, I do health coaching, so I can charge high ticket prices for that. Or like, oh, but I'm a relationship coach, I'm a love coach, so I can charge high ticket prices for that. And I think that's just a belief, because I've worked with so many clients who are not business coaches. Actually, I would say 80% of my clients are not business coaches, and a lot of them are doing really well, right? So I would like ask yourself, like, is that really true? Like, can you not charge those prices? Do you really have to work that hard? Or is that like what you're making yourself believe? And there's no right or wrong question. I'm just being a little inquisitive here for you. And then the other thing, it's like, you've already charged high ticket prices. So this process is going to be so much easier for you because you've already had that energetic monetary exchange, right? Like you've done it for website services. Now it's just a matter, I think for you, it's not that much of a pricing thing, but more of like, how can I get myself to believe in that pricing, right? Which is the whole like purpose of this, right? Like when you price in an aligned, soulful way, right? Like you are behind your prices. So like, I think your thing right now, it's like, how can I get behind those prices? How can I believe that people will buy this, that it's easy for me to sell this? You know, how can I let go of like that idea of like people would expect coaching to be in line with my design or whatever. So I think there's definitely a little bit of inner work there. And then also ask yourself, like, are you willing to move your way up? Or are you the type of person who's just really good at doing scary, uncomfortable things, and you just want to keep your high ticket prices until you like reframe those beliefs and create more strategy around making that happen? Is that making sense? It's so hard for me to coach in a live stream because it's never like a full-on conversation. Hi Diane, hi Becca, hi Steph, welcome ladies. She says, coaching as my design is very much time for money. Okay, perfect. I love that. Hi Julia. Marie says, I recently updated my own pricing for massage therapy service. Good for you. Let's celebrate that. But don't really know what coaches charge. What would be considered low or high? I love that question. I'm so happy it came up because how do I say this? I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the live stream, but like everyone, like there will always be people who think your prices are high, and there will always be people who think your prices are low. Like I remember when I first started coaching, I don't know if you guys know this story, but I started charging $15 an hour 5 years ago. That was my first client. I never did it again. I was like, the same thing that happened to my client. Like I was burnt out. I never did $15 an hour coaching ever again. But I remember at that point, there were people who told me they couldn't afford it. Like, I'm not lying, guys. People said, I can't afford your package of 3 months for $15 an hour. So there will always, always, always be people who think your prices are too low, and there will always be people who think your prices are too high, which is why you should not always look for outside validation to create your prices. Like even right now, like I was telling you guys, like my prices are below industry average. I have a lot of people tell me I should raise my prices. Just like I still have people say I can't do this right now, right? Like it always happens. It doesn't matter what you're charging. You will always have people who say yes, and you will always have people who say no. You always have people who can afford it. You will always have people who can't afford it. However, what I would do for you, Marie, is I would do a little bit of a competitive analysis and just kind of like go spy on your competition, right? Like, what are they charging? And when I say this to my clients, I highly encourage you to do competitive analysis from people that you actually like and you appreciate, right? Like, don't go do competitive analysis from like a random website from Google who you don't even know if she's actually in business, right? Like, go look at what other love coaches are doing that you actually like and appreciate and admire and learn from, so that you can see kind of like what the price ranges are. And I can guarantee you that you will find anything from here to here, right? That's why it's so much more important to me that you start thinking like, what is the price that feels good to me? What is the price that I can stand behind? What is the price that feels a little scary and it's going to stretch me a little bit and can help me reach my income goals? Like my first income goal, not like your $1 million income goal, because then that's going to be like out of alignment with where you're at right now. But like, that's so much more important than like what's high and what's low, because there will always be high and there will always be low. So thank you for asking that. That was actually a really good question to bring to this live stream. Let me know if something else comes up for that. Lizzie says, so my coaching is brand coaching. Okay. Oh, I just hired a brand coach and your work is amazing. And how to create visuals for branding. So I'm curious, like, okay, hold on. You have, or the official is help people find who they are and how to bring that into their branding. I love that. So like, I'm curious why you think that's less valuable than your design work, right? Like, I think definitely for you, there's a little bit of like internal exploration to do. Like what's making you feel like that's not valuable? What's making you feel like that's harder to book? Like, do you actually have like hard evidence that tells you that, or is that just like an assumption that's coming from the fear that this is something new that you're doing? Because I think for you, like, you've already charged high ticket prices. That's what you want to do. That's what's in alignment with your goals. It's more of like I said before, like, how do I stand behind that price? How do I get myself out of like the thoughts and beliefs and the fears that are keeping me from like fully stepping into that? Because I could be wrong, but I'm sure that when you first started your design work, like the very, very beginning of your career, like at some point, it probably felt like not a lot of people would pay for it. And I could totally be wrong. Your journey could have been different, but I feel like most people experience this when they're starting something, when you're starting a coaching business or a design business or whatever. Like, there's always like that initial fear of like, who will pay for that? So I think maybe you're just going through like that initial fear, and there's more of like, how can I build my confidence around it? How can I stand behind it? How can I just believe that this is as easy as the other work that I've been doing for forever? And how can I start seeing the value of it and being okay with also charging what I want to charge? Hi, Reen, welcome. Okay, so how's everyone feeling? Let me know if there are any other questions that are popping up for you, or if there's anything that you want to share. I'm more than happy to coach you. If not, I'll come back and answer them for you. But I just want to say a few more things before I leave. So here's something that I want all of you to work on. And it's like, I want you to stop thinking that there are not people out there who want to work with you. And I made this mistake for such a long time, where I would go out into the field, I would go out into my business, just kind of thinking like, no one wants to work with me. No one can afford me. No one wants to hire me. Because like, beyond the pricing strategy, right? Like beyond like feeling what's really good to you, what your income goal is, matching that, creating the prices and the programs that will feel good and help you achieve that. Like even beyond that, like even if you do that and you're still going out there with that belief of like, no one wants to hire me, there's no one out there who will pay me, then it's going to be really hard for that pricing to work with you, for you. That's why it's like so important to price, and then also so important to stand behind that and change the thoughts around it, so that you actually are out there knowing that it will happen, and you're like 99 times more likely to make it happen. You're like 99 times more likely to attract the right clients who can actually afford what you have to offer. But you have to believe in it first, okay? If you don't believe in your pricing, if you don't believe in your programs, if you don't believe in your products, what makes you think that other people will? And this may be like a little bit of like tough love for some of you, but it's the truth, right? Like if I sit here and I'm like, yeah, my one-on-one coaching package is $4,500 for 6 months, and it's $850 a month. And it's like, it's really good. Like, you should definitely hire me. Like, you're probably not going to hire me, right? But if I have the energy of like, my coaching package is $4,500 a month. My clients achieve amazing results. I am an amazing coach. I've been doing this for 5 years. And I know for a fact that you're going to have the best client experience ever. And I know for a fact that I can support you. Guess what? You're 10 times more likely to feel comfortable and confident with making the right decision when you come from that energy. So a lot of pricing work is not just pricing in a way that feels good, but it's also standing behind your price, right? Like you have to see your own value. You need to be sold on yourself and that price before you can even sell it to anyone else. Does that make sense? And obviously, it's not like from one day to another. You're not going to wake up and be like, oh yeah, I just became a coach and I'm charging high ticket prices and I got this, right? It's like you're just going to work through all the stuff that you're telling yourself that's just not true. Because if you go, Lizzie, I'm going to give you an example. I just hired a brand coach and I paid pretty good money for that, right? Like there are people out there who are paying high ticket stuff for brand coaching. Does that make sense? Like it's just, and it's not to like put you on the spot or anything, but this is for anyone. Like there are people out there paying for what you have, right? It's just a matter of making it in a way that feels good, getting out there, finding the right people, and really standing behind what you have to offer and being sold on yourself before you can sell it to anyone else. That is like the thing that I want to end this with. When it comes to your programs and when it comes to your pricing, you need to be sold on yourself before you can sell it to anyone else, okay? And that's not to say that if you're not like 100% sold on yourself, you're not going to sell it, but it is going to be harder. And the gaps between your sales are going to be bigger because you're going to be like, like, I really want to sell this, but I don't know if I should. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if people will pay for this. So it's like, maybe you'll make a sale here, maybe you'll make a sale there. Like, when you want to create consistent sales, you have to really be like, I believe in this and I am ready to make it work. Okay, let's see. Anything else comes up? Let's see. I think what I do is extremely unique and I am epic at it. I love that. But it's the coaching side, or calling myself a coach, is what's bringing the imposter syndrome, I guess. So I love how we've been able to do this in a live stream where now we're getting to, so it's not the pricing. So it's not really like that you're new. It's just that you're calling yourself a different thing, and that's what you're doubting, right? See, I told you it was inner work. So what do you think is best for you? And I'm going to wrap this up here, but I'm going to come back and answer your comments and keep talking to you. But what do you think is best for you? Do you want to do incremental price increase until you can stand behind being a coach? Or do you want to push yourself out of your comfort zone and just keep charging your high ticket prices and do a ton of internal work so you can move through that imposter syndrome? Because right now, those are the two options that I see, right? Like, you either do incremental price increase, incremental pricing, where you're like, what's a good price that feels really, really good to me right now, and it's not stretching me so much out of my comfort zone, because being a coach is something that's new for me. And then you move up from there. Or, no way, I've been charging high ticket prices for a long time. This is what I'm choosing to charge, and it's in alignment with my goals. Now my job is not to talk about pricing. My job is to do all the internal work around the imposter syndrome. And I feel like that's such a good thing that you brought up, because I feel like most people here who are struggling with pricing are struggling with the imposter syndrome too. Who are struggling with pricing and sales are struggling with the imposter syndrome. You're not good enough. You're not expert enough. What if people find out that you don't know what you're doing? And I'm going to share an article in the group, actually, because most entrepreneurs feel the imposter syndrome. I think I read it in Forbes or Business Insider or something like that, where it's like, there's no entrepreneur on earth who feels like an imposter at one point or another. So totally normal. It's part of the process, and it's just a matter of bringing awareness to we all experience that, but how can we move from imposter to expert, right? How can we really stand behind what we're doing? I'm going to wrap it up. Wow, this was longer than what I expected. I'm just going to hop in there and do a little bit of price talking. But this is what I want to wrap it up with. I want to wrap it up with, yes, do competitive analysis. Yes, for Marie, do competitive analysis, see what other people are charging, explore it, but really try not to attach to that, right? Because outside pricing, pricing based on what others are doing or what others are telling you to do, is not going to work for you as well as inside pricing. Pricing from what's feeling good to you, what's in alignment to you, that's what's going to help you make more sales. If you go into a coach's site and you see that they're charging $20,000 for a 4-month package, and you're like, well, that's what my people are charging, so I'm just going to charge that, but you're not really behind that, you're not really feeling good with that, then it's going to be harder for you to sell that, right? So it's so much more important to just okay, this is what people are doing. Cool, awesome, good for them. I'm glad I have a something to gauge myself with. But now I'm going to put my own CEO hat on, and I'm going to ask myself, what do I want, right? What's going to work for my business? What's going to work for my goals? What's going to work for my personality and my strength and my model and things like that? And the reason that we do this is so that you can stand behind your prices. Because when you stand behind your prices, you're sold on the services that you're about to sell, and you're going to sell them more. Without a doubt, when you are sold on yourself and the value that you bring to the table, okay, which is totally in alignment with your prices, you are going to sell more of them. And I think that is such a good way for me to end that. So I'm going to hop off right here. I do have 2 more, like just before I leave, I do have 2 more one-on-one coaching spots. If you guys are interested in working with me, I'm going to post a link to a discovery call so we can get to know each other, so I can see if I can support you in reaching your next income goals and getting your business to the next level. So I'll post that link if you guys are interested in chatting. But other than that, I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. I'm going to be sharing a lot of snippets on my stories because we're going to have a super fun weekend. But I hope this helped everyone, Lizzie, Marie, and everyone else who was here, or anyone watching the replay. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. I always come back to the comments and answer them for you. Bye, everyone. Have an amazing Friday. We'll talk soon.